Hi, my name is Carla, and I'm the founder here at Fit Outside the Box, where we explore wellness and the pleasure of living in alignment with your highest inner truth. Today, we are doing a foundational video on the topic, what the actual F is wellness? And the first time I asked that question, it was over 16 years ago. I was sitting in the emergency room waiting on news about my sister. A nurse came up to me and she told me that my sister had had a change in mental status. And at the time, I didn't even know what that meant. And so I was wondering, a change from what? Like, what is the acceptable or the correct mental status? It really struck me as this question that made sense to me, but nobody else was asking any questions. Like, what is wellness and what is mental illness? Since those two are relative, we can only know what mental illness is based on what we know to be mental wellness. But who will be the authority to decide that? And most people never ask questions like this. And I certainly wasn't really even brave enough or confident enough to ask those questions out loud at the time. But it completely changed my perspective on reality, and it changed how I saw myself. It actually gave me the courage to start the blog Fit Outside the Box, which was a few years before I started the YouTube channel. And even starting the YouTube channel, I didn't have the courage to really do that until after I started the blog. So it was this thing that kind of had me start asking questions, and the questions just kept going. It completely shifted what I thought I knew. And the thing is that there's a lot that we don't know. And that's always been my favorite part about reality. Even given the truth that I will continue to remind us about, which is what we can see and observe of the universe, that is stars, moon, our bodies, planets, galaxies. This is only 4% of what's actually there. 96% of the universe is invisible to us. And that's huge. The truth is, in my perspective, with that big of a gap, it's probably way more than that, right? It's probably a lot more that is invisible to us, just because 4% is such a small, tiny, minuscule piece of the puzzle that it's probably more like 1 or 2%, because we haven't even explored that. When we start to look at what we really know, it's not much in comparison to what we don't know. And this is not just me making that up. That's actually a book, 4% Universe, and it's a book that kind of explores dark energy, dark matter. The thing is we don't know what wellness is. And if you notice, the thing that blocks us from knowing wellness is thinking that we know wellness. The thing that blocks us from understanding anything is thinking that we already know, because then we're not even asking the questions. So here at Fit Outside the Box, we are asking the questions that allow us to actually know what wellness is, to actually know what it's like to truly be well, to feel fully alive, to feel fully tapped in to the truth of life in such a way that we can live in alignment with that, or we just allow ourselves to discover a lot more of what's available to learn. This is the thrill of life. And when we close ourselves off with false knowing or pretending that we know, this is usually what makes us feel small. Thinking that we know everything there is to know cuts us off from what life is really about. If 96% of the universe is invisible to us, then life is about exploration. Life is about open-mindedness to see what's actually here and to understand what actually is going on, instead of just living by a bunch of assumptions. So false wellness goes hand in hand with false knowing. It's pretending that, I guess, some status quo or whatever there's a change from is actually well. We know wellness isn't just the opposite of sickness, because that's not well. In fact, when that woman told me that my sister had had a change in mental status, I was thinking, most people I know aren't showing some extreme, extraordinary level of wellness. Most of the people that I had encountered then and even now are not displaying some extraordinary level of wellness that makes it completely obvious what mental wellness is and what mental illness is. For me, that has yet to be discovered. So what an exciting time to be alive, that we don't have to cover ourselves with false knowing just to be safe. We can open ourselves up to learning more, to exploring more, because there is safety in some level of organization, and it's great to be alive at this time in the world so that we can open our minds and not be ruled by dogma and false belief. So join me in exploring wellness, and I'm also going to be sharing a lot more of my story and my experience, because after my sister's change in mental status, she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and observing that has given me so much more information and just more understanding, has me asking even more questions even today, because there's so much more to life that we can explore and lean into than what we think we know. I'll include a link below to other places where you can follow me in this journey, and this just the beginning of allowing myself to share this adventure. I have a Patreon where I'm writing a book. Feel free to check that out and join if you feel aligned with what I'm doing there. Stay tuned, subscribe, and check out my other links in the caption.